who were intercepted while trying to reach Gaza to deliver aid. International Relations Department Minister Ronald Lamola says they are pleased that the activists are safe.
They were all involved in a noble cause for humanitarian aid for the people of Gaza. We continue to call for all fights to cease and for all bombardment of civilian infrastructure to stop.
Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating allegations of police corruption has faced delays over Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's statement and oath. Members of the committee have also called for the removal of the evidence leader, Advocate Norman Arendse. MPs say Arendse made an error when he failed to submit an original statement from Mkhwanazi before he takes an oath. Babalondenze reports.
The ad hoc committee inquiry into corruption within the criminal justice system hit a snag after EFF leader Julius Malema questioned the lack of an original statement by Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Malema says the statement provided by the evidence leader should be an original and not a supplementary statement with inclusions from the Madlanga Commission, where Mkhwanazi has already appeared. Malema went as far as calling for the evidence leader, Norman Arendse, to be replaced.
I really have no confidence in him from what he did now. We must change him.
I have
to argue with us and argue with you in front of cameras, and you allow that.
MK Party MP Sibonelo Nomvalo also voiced his unhappiness over the lack of an original statement.
Chair, let me start by sharing my deepest discontent as well, that we are starting on a very bad note. From the word go, we are messing things up.
The committee is expected to get a sworn statement from Mkhwanazi this afternoon once he takes an oath. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Let's stay in Parliament, where the Road Accident Fund says it's clearing the backlog of thousands of unprocessed claims, but it says in many cases claimants are just trying their luck. It's day one of the parliamentary inquiry into malfeasance at the fund. Deputy Minister of Transport Mkhuleko Hlengwa says the inquiry is running parallel to a legislative review conducted by the department. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
This is the first inquiry conducted by the Standing Committee of Public Accounts in the 7th Administration into the finances and governance at the beleaguered Road Accident Fund. It follows several visits by this committee in the previous administration, led by the former committee chairperson, now Deputy Minister Mkhuleko Hlengwa. Scopa chairperson Zongezo Zibi says this probe is not necessarily intended to apportion blame on individuals.
When people hear the word inquiry, they sometimes think somebody will be found guilty of something at the end of it.
The fund has not met the deadline to submit an annual report to Parliament this year, with Hlengwa promising to do so by Friday.
There were matters which were not concluded in the audit process by the entity and the AG, and we have asked for late submission.
The inquiry has begun with 6 RAF officials, mostly all in an acting capacity, explaining the claims process to MPs. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
In the courts now, the case against alleged underworld crime boss Vusimuzi Ket Matlala has been postponed. Matlala and his co-accused appeared briefly in the Alexandra Magistrates Court today. They are facing charges of attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder and money laundering in relation to an alleged hit that Matlala ordered on his former partner Tebogo Tobejane in 2023. The state asked for more time as it awaits approval from the National Director of Public Prosecutions to centralize other matters to the case. The matter will now return to court on November 11th. At the same time, Matlala is readying to appeal the decision of his bail denial. NPA spokesperson Pindim Jonondwane confirms that they have received an appeal application that Matlala has made in respect of his bail.
We are in the process of preparing ourselves to oppose his application. We believe that this court was not misdirected, whether in law or factually. So we will be opposing his application. However, we are still awaiting a date for the set down of that hearing.
And in the U.S., Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is expected to meet with U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House. This will be Mark Carney's second visit to the U.S. this year. The visit is aimed at getting trade talks between the two countries back on track. Canada is the only G7 country which is yet to reach a trade deal with Trump this year. Carney has faced domestic pressure to secure a deal with the United States, which would lower tariffs, especially for hard-hit sectors like steel and lumber. Gold is trading at $3,958.43 an ounce. The rand is at 17.20 to the dollar, 23.11 to the pound, 20.06 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $65.53 a barrel.
Leaving Alex, heading towards Midrand, we still have slow-moving traffic in the Calvin area. That's the N3 northbound between Marlborough Drive and the Batu Interchange. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in Edenville at that's in the Edenville Greenstone area, at Modderfontein Road in the N3, as well as Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeek.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 28 and 30 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The group of South African activists who were detained by Israeli forces is expected to touch down on home soil tomorrow.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja
Live, streaming countrywide
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 1 o'clock. Welcome to 702 Afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja, on this Tuesday, the 7th of October. I hope you're having a fantastic one. Guys, did you experience that little spit of rain yesterday? It just went, just a little bit of a spit. Like it showered for 5 minutes and then it just stopped like nothing happened. The universe and the weather gods, in inverted commas, please stop teasing us. We want that rain. Coming up on the show today, we are going to be chatting about the experience as a parent when you realize your child is growing up and what that comes with. And I'll share where this is coming from, and I want to hear all of your experiences as well. Our tech feature, we're going to talk about South Africa's first on-demand heavy goods delivery platform. So if that's something you're into, please make sure you tune into this. Terence Smith will join us, CEO of Good Earth Group. And then afterwards, we have our series edition. We are starting a brand new series for the month of October, and I'm quite excited for this one. It's going to get very interesting. But what it is, we will be having a series on the latest medical discoveries and breakthroughs. So for today, episode 1, we're going to be talking about cutting-edge cancer treatments. Cutting-edge cancer treatments. We'll be joined by Dr. Adila Omar, oncology researcher from the Internal Medicine Translation Research Unit at the University of the Witwatersrand. And that is what we'll be having in episode 1. And then we wrap up with the car feature. We'll be joined by Nicole Lowe, taking all of your technical car questions for all of you to answer, or to ask rather, with your car issues. You can already start to send them early on and we'll get into it. And then Nicole will also be chatting about dealership business model from internal combustion engine vehicles to electric vehicles. So it'll be interesting to hear all about the dealership business model. Get in touch with us, 011 883 0702. SMS us 31702. Tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702, using the hashtag 702 Afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Okay, I'm going to share something that I did not know everybody was feeling at the level that I was feeling it and experiencing it. As you know, I have a toddler. He's 4 years old. And some of the milestone things were getting him out of the bed again. So he's back in his own room. And there are no fights about it. This has been like 2 weeks now. And secondly, he said to me yesterday when I was taking him to school, he said, "Mama, I'm going to walk myself in." I'm like, "What do you mean?" Now, if you drop your child off at creche, you usually come out with your child, maybe help them carry their bag, and then you walk in and you hand them over to the creche teachers. But he said, Mommy, I'm going to walk myself in. And he took his bag. So I was like, maybe this is like not a thing, because I was waiting for him to try hold my hand. Mind you, we've had many times of him crying, not wanting me to leave him there. So there we go. We get out the car. I give him his backpack. He puts it on, and it's big, Yamu Imela, because he doesn't really carry it. And straight after that, he kissed me. He walked in. Even worse, he didn't even turn around to wave at me or blow me a kiss. So I sat in the car for a good 10 minutes realizing this person is growing up. And I'm hurt, like I'm getting teary thinking about it. So I want to hear from all of you as parents, those moments, because so many parents came to say, oh, Mom, before you freak out, my child just blocked me on their WhatsApp status. Or my child actually says I must kiss them at the corner. What? So I need to hear from moms and dads, the realization that your child is growing up and becoming independent, which is what you want, by the way. You don't want a child that is going to be dependent on you forever, like stuck on you like glue. But that thing. And then I remembered I saw a woman who was expressing something that I've never been able to find the words for. And she said, no one ever talks about the grief you constantly experience of your child growing up. And I didn't get it till she went into detail and said what she means by the grief is that 6-month-old you had is gone. That 1-year-old learning to walk is gone. That 1.5-year-old saying a few words for the first time is gone. That little one that learned to finally stand up and go to the loo by themselves as a little boy is gone. And that continuously happens throughout their lives. And I thought it was just, I was going through this feeling by myself of looking at my son's videos. And I know when my mom goes through the same thing, because she'll regularly send me videos of Mukotleki when he was a baby. Because who is this person in the house now telling me I can't walk him into creche? Me. Nah, I brought you on this earth. Now you don't want me to walk you into creche. And it is this weird feeling of being proud of your child's independence, but also being heartbroken, because it's not like there's a moment when you realize you need to, have this person grow up. But also, how do you learn to grieve the one that's no longer there anymore? Because I posted a video of myself singing my song to my son 5 years ago. He was a month old laying on my chest. The number of people, including my own family, were like, how? Second born, you didn't even tell us. That's how different he looks. That they thought it was a whole other child. I miss that child so much. And I must read for you some of the comments that people were sharing of the realization that your child is getting older. Your child is not just getting older, they are outgrowing you in certain ways. What? And this can also apply to grandparents and aunts and uncles. When you realize these little people are changing and evolving. So I literally was recording when I was in the parking lot at the realization, because the part that didn't make me teary was him walking in alone. But I was waiting for him to turn around and wave, and he didn't. He walked in and told the teacher that, I'm such a big boy, I walked in by myself. He even opened the gate by himself, closed the gate, and this morning he opened the gate and held it open for another child that was coming behind him. But my heart, and I don't know if I'm the only person or the only parent who experiences this, or caregiver or aunt. I think about it with my nieces and nephews as well. And somewhere I was reading that babies are designed in a way, scientifically, as in like the way God designed babies is for us to automatically want to nurture them. That's why they look adorable. Something in your heart has to like switch up when you see a baby, that you naturally want to care for them, even if it's not your child. And now as they grow up, I am not sure what I'm supposed to do with these feelings, because I'm missing that other little person. I'm missing 10 previous versions of this 4-year-old. And I'm pretty sure dads experience it as well. I'm definitely sure moms experience it, but I want to hear from you on your experiences. 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja.
So I have yummy_mummy 0219 who shared to say her son blocked her on his statuses on WhatsApp. Sorry. I think the only way to get through this is to laugh. So her son blocked her and she can't see his statuses. And so many people were coming in. One responded to say, my darling, he just wants to save your heart. It's nothing personal. Another mother also saying, I was hurt that my son blocked me on his WhatsApp status, and then to discover he blocked her everywhere on social media. But it is a part of the process. Boyti at 147 said, my son wipes his mouth after I kiss him. The pain and the heartache. It's so painful. It is so painful. Okay, I have Mane_MCPHY. I'm not sure how to say that. Saying, I was walking around town with my nephew on Friday. He didn't want me to hold his hand. It hurt me. I don't want to lie, because he used to be my handbag. Now he's a little man. Guys, it's not funny. It's actually really heartbreaking. I'm trying my best not to like be teary, because it's just something I'm unable to even articulate. Okay, another one. Tejo says, mine is 6 years old and she already tells me to drop her off by the corner of the school. When I wait for her to enter the school gate, she's like, Jiga o emetsing, as in turn around, mom, what are you waiting for? Why don't they, are we embarrassing? Like, I'm trying to think back to when my parents would take me to school. I never went through a phase of saying Ndropeko Koning. Or is that because I was in an all-girls school and I'm a girl? Like, what is the embarrassment from? What is it from? Oh, I'm hurt. Okay. Pretty says, he told me to stop calling him Shimanyane ya mama. As in mommy's little boy. I mean, my son has 10 million nicknames, and I'm pretty sure at some point he's going to say, stop calling me that. He's already started correcting people, saying, my name is Mokokeki. I said, oh, my child, wait until you hear all the names your mother has been given. And then Brown Skin Queen says, I'm going to do my best to enjoy each moment with him because he still sees me as his best friend. Only problem is he calls me mommy when he wants something. Other than that, he calls me auspuleng. They are like that. And my son also goes through the phase of calling me by my first name, where he'll say, Relebogile. And then I'm like, what is going on here? Double D010 says, she told me to look nice. I remember saying such to my mom once. You guys tell your moms to look nice. I've never said to my mom, look nice, unless you always look nice. I don't know. I don't recall going through a phase where my mom embarrassed me or I felt embarrassed by any of my parents. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 and 702. Tolo in Centurion, hi.
Bathong Relebogile. At least you had 4 years.
What
I
happened?
Had 2. So I've got 3 boys. They're 3 years apart. When we were taking my middle child to grade R, towards the end of the year, so just before the youngest was turning 3, he decided to stay go crash.
What do you mean?
In his pajamas. Literally. He was coming along the ride. We dropped his brothers off. the eldest one. Then we went to crash, dropped the other one off at his grade R class, and he just literally walked himself into the baby class, and that was it. I hung around, and I thought, okay, what do I do? Then I said to the lady who owns the crash, I said, okay, let me go to around the corner, Kokayalami corner. I'll get some wipes, I'll get some nappies, some snacks from Checkers, and then I'll come back. You know, in my heart, I thought, when he sees me come back, he'll think I actually don't want to stay here. Listen, he didn't even give me a look. My heart was torn.
The betrayal.
I'm still shocked. He's turning 8 at the end of this year. I'm still shocked to this day.
So
I drove home,
he enrolled
I
himself. He enrolled himself in crash.
Yeah, that was it. And he went to crash ever since that day, and he's been in school since then. But he's always been an independent child. So I think on the one hand, he must have been thinking, but what shocks you? Because I've always been independent. But yeah, I went home, I called my mom, I called my sister, I called my husband. I was like, oh my God, you won't believe what the child did. And, that's just who he is. So yeah, at least you had, 4 years.
Wait, you have to tell me, what do we do to console ourselves? I'm stuck.
Listen, take as many videos as possible. Today we don't have a baby in the house because our youngest, he's turning 8. And when we are bored or, when we miss that, we just go through our old videos. Or you'll be sitting randomly and my sister will send a video and we'll all just so laugh and miss him at that age. So yeah, don't miss the moment. Live in the moment, but take lots of videos because they're such a joy.
So can you imagine that so many people said, Relebogile, this is why you make another one?
Listen, in this economy, I don't know.
Ma'am, in this economy.
Not in this economy. You must be ready.
Yo.
Because once they hit school, you've got all the extramurals. You've got, it's fun to see them at the stage, but at the same time, it's very expensive. I'm not going to lie. You know what else I did? I started a diary of all the little things that they say. So I write the date and what they said, whether they are now, at 5, 6, 7, 8, all the things that we find funny. I write them down because I want to look back one day and remember, the funny things that they said to us at each stage.
Oh, man. Oh, listen, but let me say, this is the same person who I said to him yesterday, because he just barged in the room while I was showering, as they do. Privacy doesn't exist. And I said to him, listen, you're a boy, you're a growing boy. At some point, you can't just come in here. You won't be able to see mommy naked every day. You know what he said to me?
Yeah, they have an answer.
He said, mommy, no, I need to see your bums every day. The same person said, don't walk me in.
Let me tell you one last story. So my dad was in the hospital last week. He goes home with my mom, and on the way he says to her, okay, Oma, I think you can phone Lume, which is my brother. He can go back to his house because I'm going to protect you at your house. 5 minutes later, he was fast asleep in the car.
Ow.
So, yeah.
Ow. Thank you so much, Tolu, for your call. Oh my gosh. I'm glad somebody understands what I'm feeling. Your voice notes on 072 702 1702.
Hi, Relebogile team. Hope you're good. Oh no, I realized that it was Chai when the kisses went. So yeah, started with the now grade 11 and now the grade 7 one. The kisses stopped last year, but you know what? I still get the goodbye hugs at school, so that should count for something. I still get the goodbye hugs outside the car as I drop them off, so I'm not complaining, but they are definitely growing up. Thank you for the good show.
Oh, Mama Relebogile. For my daughter, only is 7 years, so it's a grade 1. In the car, we play the music early in the morning when we go to school. Hey, what a high volume. Hey, my piano, blah, blah, blah. When we get to school, before the school, switch off. Switch off. The music, it's not a nice music. We need to just horror. I'd be surprised.
Hi, Lebo. I feel for you. I had one of my sons stomping his little feet crying at 4. Through the tears, he said, "You always want to help me." I definitely agree with the mourning discrimination, as in mourning, as in grieving. But he did come back as an 18-year-old. We're good friends now, though. That is from Noni. You're not giving me the formula, what I'm supposed to do in the meantime. Annika says, absolutely, Relebogile. Now wait until your children have their own kids and now they are parents. Love your show. You see, apparently at that point, when your children have their own kids, you're trying to hog the grandchildren. Like now you've moved on from your own kids. And I firmly believe that grandparents, decent grandparents, make up for all the ways they were not the parents you needed through your grandchildren. And I've been experiencing that as a parent. Dima says, good day, Relebogile. Your son will no doubt be ready for big school grade R. The question is, am I ready? I even had to accept at some point when this little person needed to go back into his own room because I have late nights and early mornings and it's disruptive to his schedule, that I was making excuses because I didn't want him to leave the bed. I had to be like, actually, I'm not ready. I'm not. It's sad, it's heartbreaking, and it's almost like I can't explain. But yes, it's grieving and mourning. Hi, Relebogile and the team. That's what I'm going through right now. My last born, 19 years, is studying and working at the pace he is in. I can see that he will have his place much sooner than I thought. And as much as I am happy and want this for him, I'm not sure I'm ready. We're still staying with his older brother who is still job hunting. This is from, Anonymous in Vereniging. I think, you just made me think about the fact that I'm that kid that left home as a teenager, was gallivanting the country, performing. And I didn't consider, because it did come out of nowhere, the grief that my parents might have gone through, that you had this teenager in the house and now she's moved out. I didn't think about that. Oh my gosh, I should probably call my parents and ask them if they were sad when I left home as a teenager. More of your voice notes on 072 702 1702.
Aslebo, good afternoon. So as a girl dad, fortunately for me, I don't have to worry about what you are going through, because my girls still look up to me. They still want to do things with me. I'm still good. Besides for when I get told, Papa, turn down the volume, I want to talk. I'm like, but it's my car. And then I get told, pick me up. And then I have to pick both of them up. But yeah, well, it's fun. I enjoy it. At least now it's lifetime. You know, as a girl dad, it's for life, this thing. It doesn't go away.
Hi, really. You know the feeling, after a long day getting home and then having your 11-year-old son asking you, Papa, ngakwenzela a quick snack na ukhona ukudla, because of my wife works shift. I'm a Bolt driver. So getting home and realizing, hey, this young champ can make me food now. That feeling, yes.
The way he said, that feeling, yes. Karabo, when did your son say to you that you must stop kissing him close to the crash? Because I was sharing with everybody about my experience, and I'm just so emotional about the fact that, again, this morning he went in and then he even held the gate open for the other kids coming behind him. I was proud of him. He still didn't turn and wave at me.
Yeah, it broke my heart. Yeah, I know what you're feeling when, because I remember when I was working the earlier shift, I would take him to crash. And then at the gate, I'll be like, bye, ka, mba, a little kiss on the cheek or on the forehead. And then there was this random day, and he was like, okay, Papa, at the corner before we get to school, you can give me the kiss, but not at the gate. And I'm like, what changed? What's happening? It's either it's at the corner or you don't do those kind of things in front of my teachers, in front of my friends. And I was like, Okay, so this is the detachment. This is growing up. This is the reality. This is what we have to accept.
I think, I can't believe I'm getting so emotional.
And he was only 3, and I'm like, dude, come on.
At 3?
Yeah.
Oh, guys, my heart is just after 1:30. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. A very good afternoon. A closed meeting is being held by MPs leading Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating allegations of police corruption. The inquiry faced some delays today over the statement and oath of KZN top cop Ntantla Mkhwanazi. Members of the committee have also called for the removal of evidence leader Advocate Norman Arendse. The group of South African activists who were detained by Israeli forces is expected to touch down on home soil tomorrow. The activists are currently in Jordan, where they have been confirmed to be safe and in high spirits. The group will arrive at the OR Tambo International Airport around 9 a.m. tomorrow. And head of the broad-based Black Economic Empowerment Commission, Tsidiso Matona, says BEE is on a faltering trajectory, but it should not be abandoned altogether. Matona says since the Act was passed into law in 2003, it has consistently been amended and improved to make it more effective. Matona has been speaking at the Triple BEE Frank Dialogue event in Sandton today. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 2 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Bridgestone Tires. Prepared to perform whatever the terrain.
Well, things not looking too bad across 702 land at this hour. No serious accidents or major delays have been reported. We still have those we still have that slow-moving traffic though. That's if you're leaving Alex heading towards Midrand. It looks like there's roadworks happening N3 northbound between Marlborough Drive and the Butlu interchange. Also, excuse me, I see delays. This is driving through Houghton heading towards Sandton. Slow-moving traffic. That's on the M1 northbound between Jan Smuts Avenue and Ethel Oaklands. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in the Edenvale Greenstone area at Modderfontein Road and the N3, as well as Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeck. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Weekdays on the highway, weekends on the trail, in rain, on tar, or halfway up a gravel pass. With the new Bridgestone Jeweler All-Terrain AT002, you don't have to choose. Bridgestone, prepared to perform whatever the terrain.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9. There are many people whose hearts are broken, because no matter how much they struggle to be a part of this society, no matter how much the legal protections that guarantee them dignity and equality in this society, there are those who would make it their life's work, their life's mission, to denigrate, to disregard, to humiliate, to exclude, all in the name of cultures. Why can't we just see each other as equals?
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Join us for the Clash of the Titans at the Inanda Polo Club on the 19th of October, where Africa unites through polo. Proudly brought to you by Titan Law in association with Polo South Africa. Don't miss out. Book your spot on Howler.
Zahira was tired. So tired, she let her eyes rest a bit. It was bad.
So bad.
She replaced 4 hours of spreadsheets with... It was bad.
So bad.
Too bad she didn't have Yoko Counter. It automatically recon sales, tracks stock, and staff performance.
So good.
Yoko Counter. Super simple POS and payments in one. No contracts, no hidden costs.
Zinzi, the Gen Z. Word on the street is you sold your car.
Yes, and I needed a glow up. Hashtag no hustle, no hassle.
So wait. The influencer got influenced by We Buy Cars.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And they came to me. They checked the car, they gave me an offer. Oh, and they paid me immediately. Easier than an Insta Live, without the weird DMs at 2 a.m.
I didn't understand half of the things you just said, but hey, We Buy Cars. Geared for the glow up geared for you.
Think radio is out of reach? Think again. With Prime Media Credit, you can get your brand on 947, 702, KFM 94.5 and Cape Talk Now and pay later. Flexible finance, big impact. Email advertise@primemedia.co.za. Prime Media Credit, powered by Bridgement.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Well, a big promise from President Cyril Ramaphosa, in which he said the ANC's National Executive Committee had decided over the weekend to adopt a new plan to grow the economy.
The fact that the president says we have to establish, or ANC resolved that there should be a war room in the presidency, it means that the departments individually and as they are dysfunctional. They are not coordinating. That's a real problem.
Dr. Iraj Abedian, CEO of Pan-African Investments and Research Services.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show, Stephen Curtis, is brought to you by ABSA. ABSA is a proud lead sponsor of B20 South Africa 2025. ABSA is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Your voice.
Your life.
Your afternoon radio.
On 702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Mabotja.
23 minutes to 2 o'clock, and we've been talking about the mourning and the grief that comes with your child growing up. After I experienced my son just coming in, going to creche where he usually gets walked in, and he said he can walk himself. Took his backpack, did not even turn around to just blow me a kiss, wave, nothing. Like I didn't exist. Like I was no one in his life. Oh, guys, the pain of the child growing up. 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. There's a message that says, "Hi Relebogile, my 3-year-old Butselo doesn't want me to hold her hand anymore after creche. She has this pretending to fasten her shoelace every time I try to hold her hand. From there, I notice her walking in front of me with that look like she will tell me she can do it by herself." From Intibani. Yo, at 3, don't hold mommy's hand. What do you mean? What do you mean? Hi, Relebogile. I realize my son has grown when he swapped kisses for a high five when I drop him at school. This was the grief my mother had when my older sister got married 3 years down the line. My mom is still grieving. Sini from Soweto. Oh my gosh, my gosh, my gosh. It is a tricky one. It's a tricky one, but kisses for high fives is something else. I think I'm going to be the parent that just plants the kisses on whether they like it or not. Here are your voice notes on 072 702 and 702.
Hi, Relebogile in 702 land. It's not just how quickly they grow, it's how smart they get. My daughter at 2 years old, I asked her to pass me one of her toys. So she didn't know which one. So I said, "The green one, Nana." And she looked at me and she said, "Mommy, it's not green. It's turquoise." And just the other day, we were making popcorn. So I asked her to get the popcorn seeds, that was me, out of the cupboard so we can make the popcorn. And she said, "Mom, they're not seeds, they're kernels." So for me, it's the intellect. They are so smart, so independent, and it breaks your heart, but it also makes you realize that, you know what? I'm raising a very special human being. Balesa in Waterfall.
Good afternoon. Just noticed that, taking your kid to school in the morning and, taking him or her back home after school, it's actually a very good thing because you actually have quality time and more time discussing, sharing jokes and whatever, buying, food after lunch. And, during the time you're together, the kids will be asking, "Daddy, what is that on the road? What does it work for? Or where does it go? Or what is it used for?" That kind of thing. Imagine if always using scholar transport, they don't have anyone to ask those things. It's like the moment you realize that, boom, they're out of the house. You don't have them anymore. So to me, I don't even get tired of, taking them to school in the morning and, fetching them. Thank you.
Hey, I was pulling. Norman here in Kempton Park. Let me gloat. Now, this dude, he's sitting right here next to me in the car right now. We started working together to go Crescia High from when he was 3. So every single day, Nalena, we would walk to the crash. I could drive and drop him off, but what I would do is I would walk with him, leave him at the crash, walk back to the house, and then drive to work. And the best 4 years of my life, even late today, he still wishes I would drop him off at school instead of a school transport. And he is now, how old are you? 11.
Not how old are you? Daddy, everything was, I even forgave you saying Puleng, but I don't blame you because you heard it on air. What? Not how old are you? Your lost voice note.
Hi, Relebogile. I did away with the kisses because I saw where this was going to go. I was the one that's going to get hurt. I've resorted to these creative handshakes. So I do it with my boy and I do it with my girl, and both have different handshakes that we do. I find them very, like, they pump them up for the day. They make them feel good, and they look like quite gung-ho, you know? So we enjoy those quite a lot. So yeah, the kisses and the hugs, we've done away with that long time ago. Lebo here from Pretoria. Great show. Bye.
I am holding on to those kisses as long as possible till he's physically strong enough to remove me from the kisses. There's no way. Those kisses, you're feel free to let me know on the socials, on Facebook, on X, how we get through this, because wow. But I also just realized that probably makes sense also why parents become better parents when they have other children, because you realize, oh my gosh, this phase is going to end and I need to appreciate it so much more. So to the firstborns, lots of hugs to you.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
Would you accept that there are some churches set up with the specific intention of preying on vulnerable people for their money? Do you believe that's happening?
Yes, it is happening. And as it is happening, as I said before, we have got laws that can be applied in order to bring the criminals to book. You don't need extra things, because when we listen to the chairperson of the CRL, she has been pushing, we need to regulate. And she's mainly after the Christian church.
Professor Mfariseni Mukuba.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
The stage, the lights, the crowd, everything's perfect until suddenly someone slips on the dance floor. A speaker lands in the buffet. In an instant, your masterpiece is a mess. That's why Auto & General is there with Events Liability Insurance. We handle the unexpected so you don't have to. Plan the party, wow the guests, leave the rest to us. For more information on Events Liability Insurance, visit autogen.co.za. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Mzansi, have you bought your Powerball ticket for the mind-blowing 120 million rand in estimated jackpot this Tuesday? Don't delay. Play Powerball for an estimated 120 million rand jackpot today for your chance at winning the big millions. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda, Pusher, Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Running a business is tough. You need tools that just work. That's why more South African businesses are switching to Mac. At iStore, we make it easy with 4,000 rands in added value when you switch. That's 3 years extended warranty and remote tech support, leaving you to focus on everything else. Switch to Mac with iStore, your expert partner. T's and C's apply. Mac at iStore. Run smooth as business should.
702.
Tech feature.
15 minutes to 2 o'clock in our tech feature for today. We are chatting about South Africa's first on-demand heavy goods delivery platform. And joining us in studio is the CEO of Good Earth Group, Terence Smith. And we take your calls on 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 702. Terence, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Afternoon to you. Afternoon to your listeners. Thanks for having me, especially since I'm a first-timer in the studio.
Oh, welcome. We love ourselves first-timers. Now, what background do you have that you even found the interest to want to do something like this?
Well, I'm a corporate, firstly. Spent all my life in corporate and eventually had the bug to go out and become an entrepreneur.
Yes.
I became an entrepreneur and started in the logistics sector. And we are not a generational transporter or logistics person, so we came in with a totally blank canvas, not knowing anything. So out of necessity, in running this business, we needed to adopt tech. And having adopted the tech brought us to launch Mr. T, which is an acronym for Mr. Transport.
Yes.
Exclusively for our own use. And then as at 2025 this year, we decided to take it open market.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so when you were in the early phases of trying to figure out what you want to do, as in you're saying the entrepreneurial bug bit you.
Yeah.
And I really love to hear people's stories when it comes to that, because so many people are just deciding that they want to pivot or try other things.
Yeah.
What was the thing that said, okay, it's time?
Well, I must say, if I have to be truly honest, it
Yes.
was not in my control.
Yes.
I personally think it was divine intervention. And that was what prompted me. I just made an impulsive decision and I said, in fact, I was actually starting work at a new job on the
Yes.
following Monday and I could not resist it. So up until this day, I cannot explain it to you, except that whilst I was in corporate, I was fiddling a little bit with a little bit of
Yes.
small things until I realized, you know what, if I put 100% of my head, heart, and hands into this bug that I've got, imagine how much more I could do, and that's what started it.
Okay, so then tell us about how the company started growing to what it does now.
So, like I say, we started in 2014 as Good Earth Group, and we were lucky enough to sign up 2 corporates at the time, and got the experience, got the expertise there, and however, the growth was rapid and quick, and the demand was great, and doing it the conventional way of doing it was no longer viable for us. So we had to adopt the tech. So to get our deliveries done quicker, seamlessly, better, and electronically and remotely, we then designed our own on-demand services app to be used internally for our transport model, which does medium to large goods. And that gave birth to Mr. Transport. So we started the app from scratch and used it. We've got 5 years experience with it. And as I say, from this year, we took it open market.
You maybe you can help us understand that don't live in the world of the industry you're in, right? What qualifies as medium? What qualifies as heavy goods? So
Okay.
that we know when we are, to just get a proper appreciation for the work that you do.
Okay. So there's other on-demand services in the courier space at this stage. So you can get anything moved anywhere within the courier space. Our space, the courier space runs up to anything up to 250 to 300 kilograms. This is where Mr. Transport steps in. Mr. Transport can move anything from 300 kilograms all the way up to 36 tons.
Is the 300 kilograms we're talking, is that, and I wouldn't know, are we
Yeah.
talking like a bakkie?
Yeah.
A load on a bakkie?
Yeah. So you could get a small bakkie, a half-ton
Yes.
bakkie, and you could fit that on a bakkie. The space that we fit in is the space where yourself or myself would not practically be able to fit anything into my car. And even if I could fit it into my
yes.
car, I would not want to take the risk of scratching my car or damaging my car, which is where Mr. T comes in. Mr. T is an on-demand services app that literally connects you as the customer directly with a driver that's available nationally, real-time, on-demand. So you no longer have to slot into the schedule of the retailer or the hardware store or wherever you're shopping.
In terms of your clients
Yeah.
that you supply,
Okay.
what kind of goods? I mean, you said pretty much anything can be delivered.
Anything legal.
That's what I was coming to.
So
I really hope. Okay, I'm so glad we clarified.
Yeah, okay.
So you're not shipping like random bodies and
No,
things
no,
like
no.
that.
So-
Okay. Sorry, it's like you were reading my mind where I'm like, I just want to clarify.
I'm glad I preempted that.
What are people genuinely moving? Because I would imagine then your biggest customers, are they not your retailers and your service providers of? So, Koo and bakers, and are those your clients, but wouldn't they really have internal logistics? Maybe share with us.
Okay. So I suppose maybe to say what differentiates us,
Yes.
because there's probably similar services in the market, but what really differentiates us is that we can service two types of clients. We can service a ordinary man on the street that can download the app and literally book their on-demand delivery service. Similarly, we can integrate into any corporate or any retailer.
Yes.
So being open market for just under a year now, we've already signed up 2 national retailers. So the 2 national retailers that we operate in, we transport every single day fragile goods, which are tiling products. So the most difficult product, we move it every single day. We move about 13,000 tons and 11,000 deliveries on a monthly basis within that. So that's within the corporate space.
Yes.
Within the general market space, we can move anything from you could be at a retailer buying a fridge or a 72-inch TV. You could be doing a furniture move. You can book and choose the right size vehicle and application. In addition to that, you can also choose assistance to assist you with your load. So if it's a light load that you can literally take off the vehicle yourself, you can do it yourself. Alternatively, you can book assistance if you know we've got 2 or 3 flights of stairs to go into.
What are some of the most challenging parts of this line of work? Is it the fact that deliveries happen cross-country and dealing with the logistics of, drivers taking rest? Like, what is the really challenging part? Because there's the tech aspect of it, but then there's the real life aspect. It's one thing on the app to be, it's like, oh, I want to order bread. Okay, click and then deliver.
Yeah.
And then you move on with your life. That's the other person's experience. But for you got to deal with everything it comes with.
Yeah. So the challenging part is, I think in South Africa, I think we've come up with a real practical solution. There's a practical need and we've got a practical solution. I think we need to be realistic. Unemployment is a huge factor within our country. And so by providing the app, we solve that gap by we give the transporters or transport partners an opportunity to sign on to our app and get access to where they historically would not have had access to. For example, directly to the retailer or directly to the customer. Similarly, to answer your question, the challenge that comes with that is because of the high unemployment rate, there's so many operators out there that want to get onto the platform. So we have to vet, approve, and train so that you make sure that you bring in good quality operators and give them exposure to the platform so that the end user customer gets the same experience that we envisage. And what we find is we have many, many interested parties coming in. If you think of a reverse triangle at the top, there's many people that have come in, but after we go through our vetting process, not everybody gets through.
Yes.
So there is a challenge to get good quality operators that will be able to sustain and deliver the service nationally.
Some questions that are coming through on the WhatsApp line. One says, how, Mr. T, can we have the WhatsApp contact and the Mr. T transport details?
Okay. So you can find us on all social media platforms, but the main point is to get through our website, which is www.mrt.co.za. So it's mrt.co.za. And then similarly, you can download the app via any of the Play Stores. You can download the customer app via the Play Store, and you can download the driver app via the Play Store. And then the app prompts you to navigate through the various stages.
In terms of the size of the maximum load you can go with heavy goods, how big can you go?
So maximum we can go up to is 34 tons. And we start from a half-ton bakkie, 1-ton bakkie, 3-ton, 4-ton, 6-ton, 8-ton, 12-ton, 36, 34-ton.
Is 34 ton the ones or 36 tons the ones that you see when you're driving N3 and you just see massive trucks that are delaying your holiday to Durban?
100%.
It's you, basically.
Well, not it's us and my colleagues.
It's you and your colleagues. Okay, so in terms of the AI matching, how are you using AI? Because on the selecting thing is the one part, but where does the AI feature in the picture?
Okay, so we've embraced it throughout the tech stack within the app. So it's linked through to Google APIs that help us navigate and help the driver as well as the customer to navigate and track where the delivery is. So that's the tracking of the delivery real time is one of the AI features that we use. We use different AI platforms like WhatsApp business platforms. We use different integration platforms which allows us to go and integrate directly with, if you think of any big national retailer, everybody uses a different inventory management system. Our AI tool allows us to go in and integrate into their inventory management system and read data from their systems and processes.
In terms of Mr. T, the unique thing about the business is you've created the platform. So who else can come to you other than people that want your services? Because you mentioned drivers.
Yeah.
Can somebody listening who's like, I own a truck that's sitting doing nothing.
Yeah.
Can they come through as well and use the app?
Yeah. So I always think of like the township I grew up in, there was always this madalla in the township that had a bakkie or a truck that serviced our community, and I'm sure in everybody else's community there's always been that guy.
If you own a bakkie, it's not your bakkie, it's everybody's bakkie.
It's the community's bakkie.
Yes.
So I think of that guy, and for whatever reason I always picture him driving an Isuzu or a Toyota.
Yes.
That's a picture in my mind. So that same guy, he can come and sign up on the app. You can be a corporate and you can come up and sign up on the app and say, if you're a national retailer, you can get in contact with us and we'll sign you up, integrate with you. And then similarly, if you're a customer. So a scenario is if you are in New York again receiving yet another award and you want to book a delivery in South Africa,
yes,
you can certainly book it from anywhere in the world and get the service done locally. But similarly, you can be at a macro, as an example. If you could be stocking up Relebogile's restaurant and tavern in advance of the weekend.
Correction, Shabin.
You could call us and you could get it in demand without having to slot into that retailer's delivery schedule.
They are called Mr. T or Mr. Transport. Find them on the socials. The website is mrt.co.za. Go and be empowered if you're a driver, and you can go through the app and get an opportunity to explore, because there are many people sitting with that community transport doing favors and not making money. And this is an opportunity for you. Terence, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja.
Lines are always open
On 011
883
0702.
In the next hour of the show, it's our series edition on the latest medical discoveries and breakthroughs. I'm looking forward to this. This will be our conversation throughout October. Episode 1, we are talking about cutting-edge cancer treatments. And we'll be taking your calls on 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. It's 2 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. A closed meeting is being held by MPs leading Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating allegations of police corruption. The inquiry faced some delays today over KZN top cop Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's statement and oath. Members of the committee have also called for the removal of the evidence leader, Advocate Norman Arendse. MPs say Arendse made an error when he failed to submit an original statement from Mkhwanazi before he takes an oath. They are now holding talks to determine how to move forward today. Babalondenze reports.
The ad hoc committee inquiry into corruption within the criminal justice system hit a snag after EFF leader Julius Malema questioned the lack of an original statement by Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Malema says the statement provided by the evidence leader should be an original and not a supplementary statement with inclusions from the Madlanga Commission, where Mkhwanazi has already appeared. Malema went as far as calling for the evidence leader Norman Arendse to be replaced.
I really have no confidence in him from what he did now. We must change him. I have to argue with us and argue with you in front of cameras, and you allow that.
MK Party MP Sibonelo Nomvalo also voiced his unhappiness over the lack of an original statement.
Chair, let me start by sharing my deepest discontent as well, that we are starting on a very bad note. From the word go, we are messing things up.
The committee is expected to get a sworn statement from Mkhwanazi this afternoon once he takes an oath. Babalo Ndenze, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The group of South African activists that was detained by Israeli forces is expected to touch down on home soil tomorrow. The activists are currently in Jordan, where they have been confirmed to be safe and in high spirits. The group will arrive at the OR Tambo International Airport around 9 tomorrow morning. Their return is being facilitated with financial support from their families as well as solidarity groups. The group was part of more than 400 other activists from around the globe who were intercepted while trying to reach Gaza to deliver aid. International Relations Department Minister Ronald Lamola says they are pleased that the activists are safe.
They were all involved in a noble cause for humanitarian aid for the people of Gaza. We continue to call for all fights to cease and for all bombardment of civilian infrastructure to stop.
In the courts now, the court battle between City Power and the Hawks has been postponed to Thursday. The matter was due to be heard today, but was postponed to allow for the Hawks' legal team some time to file their answering affidavit. City Power is asking the court to declare a recent search and seizure operation at its headquarters unlawful, claiming the warrants used were invalid. Over the past 2 months, the Hawks have raided City Power's offices twice as part of an investigation into questionable contracts worth more than R500 million. City Power spokesperson Isaac Mangina says it's disappointing that the attorneys of the Hawks were not ready to proceed today.
Look, we have always been ready for this matter to basically be heard today. Unfortunately, the respondents are not ready yet, and I think that is something that is worrying because we thought we would basically, we thought they had agency in terms of the execution of the warrant.
To this now, head of the broad-based Black Economic Empowerment Commission, Tshidiso Matona, says BEE is on a faltering trajectory, but it should not be abandoned altogether. Madonna says since the act was passed into law in 2003, it has consistently been amended and improved to make it more effective. Madonna has been speaking at the Triple BEE Frank Dialogue in Sandton today. As head of the commission, Madonna says Triple BEE compliance has improved over the years, but there are still some undesirable practices that continue to persist.
Every so often come across fake certificates, practices fronting that seek to circumvent the objectives of the legislation. So we do need to clean up this instrument. We do need to strengthen its governance anchor, ethical foundation. So we are at a turning point, definitely. We cannot carry on this faltering trajectory. The legislation needs to evolve.
And in Albania, a judge has been shot and killed after a man opened fire during a trial at the Court of Appeal in Tirana. According to local media, he opened fire in the court, injuring 2 other people because he expected to lose the case. The suspect was involved in the hearing over a property dispute. Albania's Prime Minister Edi Rama has offered his condolences to Judge Kalaja's family. He also called for stricter security within the country's courts and harsher punishments for the legal possession of weapons. Gold is trading at $3,958.43 an ounce. The rand is at 17.20 to the dollar, 23.11 to the pound, 20.06 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $65.53 a barrel.
Well, at this stage, if you are heading in and out of Alexandra, this is heading towards Midrand or even heading towards Germiston. Roadwork still causing delays on the N3 in both directions between Marlborough Drive and the Butler Interchange. Also look out for those faulty traffic lights in Midrand, Olifantsfontein Road and the N1, as well as New Road and 16th Avenue.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 28 and 30 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, a closed meeting is being held by MPs who are leading Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating allegations of police corruption.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja
Live, streaming countrywide
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
7 minutes after 2 o'clock, the second and final hour of 7:02 afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja. And we're going to be jumping into a brand new series for the month of August. And in our series for August, we're talking about the latest medical discoveries and breakthroughs. Episode 1, we are talking about cutting-edge cancer treatments. So would love to hear from you. Give us a call on that one. And then, of course, we have our car feature as well, Technical Issues with Nicolo, where we will be joined by technical expert Nicolo to take all of your technical car questions. And we'll be also talking to him about dealership business model from internal combustion engine vehicles to electric vehicles. 011 8830702, the WhatsApp line 0727021702, and it is October. Excuse me, not August. And you can SMS us 31702, use the socials at Relebogile M, at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 afternoons.
702
Series Edition.
Series Edition time, our series for the month of October, the latest medical discoveries and breakthroughs. And today we're talking about cancer treatments. We know it is a massive, massive one, but also send us an email, 702afternoons at 702.co.za. If you have a recommendation, not just for a series, but for an episode in the series. So I'm so grateful to welcome our guest, Dr. Adila Omar, oncology researcher from the Internal Medicine Translation Research Unit, the University of the Witwatersrand. Doctor, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be getting Doctor shortly on 011 8830702 with your questions and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702
Series Edition.
Doctor, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon, Lebo. It's good to be here.
Let's start with the absolute basics of cancer treatments in relation to the stages so that we are all kind of brought up to speed so that when we know what is cutting edge, we can sort of benchmark it against what we are pretty familiar with. People know about radiation and chemo, but we might not know, the details unless somebody close to you has been through it or yourself.
Okay, so just let's talk about the bigger picture of how prevalent and the incidence rates of cancer. So, the World Health Organization has estimated that at about 1 in 5 people will develop cancer in their lifetime. And here in Africa, the challenge is even greater. We see more than 1.1 million new cases and around 700,000 people succumbing to the disease each year. And by 2030, those numbers are projected to rise steeply. So the reason cancer research is so vital is that cancer isn't just one disease. There are many different types, each with its own biology. And that's why a one-size-fits-all approach doesn't work. We need innovation to detect cancers earlier. We need to develop smarter and more targeted treatments and to reduce side effects so patients can live better. So referring to those typical therapeutics that we know about, the chemo, the radiation, surgical resection, we want to reduce those side effects so patients can live better lives.
Okay, so early detection, of course, is a massive, massive thing. Maybe we can touch on, the top 3 or top 5 cancers in the country when it comes to early detection. I know breast cancer is quite high up there, and we can just briefly chat about what people can do in terms of routine checkups.
So early detection is one of the most powerful tools we have against cancer. When cancers are found at an early stage, they're often easier to treat, they require less aggressive therapy, and your survival rates are much higher. Unfortunately, in many parts of the world, especially in low and middle income countries, cancers are often diagnosed later. And this is at the point when options are limited and your outcomes are poorer. So this is why research into these new early detection methods is so important. Later on, I'll talk about what's at the forefront of these early detection methods and what's on the horizon with that. But of course, finding the cancer early on is part of the solution. The other crucial step is how we treat it once it's diagnosed. But going back to your point about the early detection that people can do and the screening and the tests, I think it's very important for people to, especially women, and you're talking about the prevalent cancers in South Africa. So in the top 5, we've got cervical cancer, breast cancer among women. Obviously, lung cancer is up there, colorectal cancer, which is my area of research. So with all of those cancer types, with the breast cancers, regular mammograms, with the cervical cancers, regular pap smears, those types of screenings is what we are referring to in terms of early detection.
Okay, so now if we are to jump into our cutting edge treatments, and the fact that I saw something really, really interesting, a doctor, and I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but I saw somebody who was speaking about the terminology of remission and how we speak about a cure. And what they said was this term remission almost implies that a person is waiting to get sick again. And maybe this falls into the psychology side of it, but I'd love to hear your thoughts as a researcher. And they went to say, you can also say your flu is in remission until you get flu again. But if you feel like your cancer is cured in inverted commas as opposed to in remission, you're going to live your life like you don't have it anymore. Can you maybe clarify remission and cures and what your thoughts are on the language?
So in the past, treatments were limited to your surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation. And although these are still essential, they often come with significant side effects and don't always guarantee that long-term survival or complete remission. So we're entering a new era, and instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, we're finding ways to personalize treatment and target the unique biology of each person's cancer. And this is what we refer to as precision oncology. So these breakthroughs are giving patients a longer survival time, fewer side effects, and more importantly, a better quality of life. So, just referring to precision oncology, what exactly do we mean by that, the term? So precision oncology is like matching the right key to the right lock. So in the past, cancer treatment was more like using a sledgehammer. So we'd offer the same treatment to everyone, hoping it would eradicate the cancer. And sometimes it worked, but often it caused a lot of collateral damage along the way. And with precision oncology, doctors and researchers study the lock as such. And this is the unique genetic code and molecular features of a person's tumor. And then they find the exact key that fits that. So that key might be a targeted drug, an immunotherapy, or a combination tailored specifically to that cancer for that person. So, just going back to what you were talking about in terms of remission. So with diagnostics, cutting edge diagnostics at the moment, there is biomarkers. So these are measurable indicators like gene mutations, protein levels, or circulating tumor DNA. So they give doctors insight as to how cancer might behave. So for example, it's likely to grow quickly, respond to a certain drug, or come back after treatment. So we're talking about that remission, right? So with new tests called liquid biopsies, we can look for fragments of cancer DNA or proteins in a simple blood sample. So this is without needing those complicated or invasive procedures like those dreadfully painful tissue biopsies that people have to undergo. So this makes it easier to track down how the cancer is behaving, see if the treatments are working, and pivot, obviously, and also catch early signs if the cancer is coming back. So these biomarkers and liquid biopsies have huge implications in terms of the patients being in remission and knowing if they are still in remission. So it allows doctors to track how your cancer is responding to treatment in real time. It will reveal early on if your tumor is coming back long before the symptoms appear. And it also makes repeated testing much easier and safer for patients. So biomarkers and liquid biopsies bring us closer to that personalized cancer care where treatments are chosen and adjusted based on the unique fingerprint of each patient's cancer.
Okay, and I think that is quite detailed in how you are explaining that. With your research that you are working on, do you, with the specific cancer cells, do you sort of differentiate the types of cancer when you study them in terms of treatments, or does it sort of fall into one category for us medical cancer sphere individuals?
So definitely, like I said, each cancer type has a different biology, and we need to investigate and research how each of these develops and progresses. So this is the same in the research that I do. I just want to touch a bit about on small molecule inhibitors. So these small molecule inhibitors, your traditional chemotherapy works by acting on all fast dividing cells, right? So that's why it can damage healthy tissue like hair follicles and bone marrow, leading to side effects. Whereas your targeted therapies in the form of these small molecule inhibitors, they've been used over the past 20 years or so, but their efficacy and specificity has been optimized over the years. So these are designed to block the specific mutations or signaling pathways that are driving a tumor's growth. So in terms of the different cancer types, each of these has signaling pathways that are typical to that. So in colorectal cancer, we see typical deviations or mutations in the BRAF pathway. In other cancer types, your breast cancers have different mutations and aberrations in those signaling, in different signaling pathways. So we need to understand what's driving these cancers and then design therapeutics based on this. So studying these signaling pathways has been of particular interest to me and the focus of my research. So we're looking at specific signaling pathways that are aberrantly active and then targeting these with the inhibitors. For example, if a cancer depends on a mutated protein to keep dividing, we can use a targeted therapy to block that protein effectively and switch off the tumor's engine as such. So because they're more precise, these targeted therapies can be matched to the genetic profile of each cancer type and of each patient's cancer. And tailoring makes them more effective and less toxic than traditional chemotherapy.
Okay, I'm curious about organoids.
Yes.
Please tell me all about them.
Okay, so organoids, it's a technique that is at the forefront of cancer research. So we're using this technique in my research at the moment, and they are actually miniature 3D versions of human organs or tumors that scientists grow in the lab from patient cells. So they mimic the structure and behavior of real tissue, making them powerful tools for research. So in cancer, we'll take tissue from a patient, we'll grow these organoids, and it helps us predict which therapy will most likely work. So we test these therapeutics on them, and then we see the response to it. They also allow us to study how cancers develop. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, and how they respond to drugs in a way that's much closer to real life. So in our research, we're using these organoids to identify those signaling pathways that I spoke about that are driving cancers, and then we know how to accurately target these therapeutically.
When you say grow them, please explain, because I'm just imagining you watering tissue and then it grows like a plant.
Yeah, no, so I mean, they require certain growth factors, and so I mean the typical petri dish that you see in the movies with the the cells in a plate and someone looking at them under a microscope, that's exactly what we do. So yeah, they are grown in these tissue culture dishes, and we provide the growth factors needed for them to grow, and the media has certain chemicals in there that stimulate growth of these. So yeah, it is almost like watering them, but yeah,
not
the same
quite.
picture that you see in movies. Yeah.
Please
no,
help.
And
yes.
The funny part is that so the reason why we use organoids is when we take single cells from patients, they actually don't grow very well under cell culture conditions out of the human body, but as an organoid, they actually do grow pretty well.
Please just help me understand, when it comes to surgery as a form of intervention, is there anything new in that space other than maybe being able to, for example, use some type of dye to see what you need to remove and where? Maybe you can chat to us about surgery as a layperson who has not been knee deep in the space of cancer in terms of the treatment. I would imagine that obviously if surgery is an option, that is positive, because it means that doctors see that there's a chance that they are able to remove the tissue, as opposed to it being like, where it is, it's not something we can simply and easily cut out.
Okay, so no single treatment works for every cancer or for every patient. So we're now actually looking at an approach of using combination therapies. So using more than one type of treatment together. For example, you might pair immunotherapy following surgery, or you might pair immunotherapy which boosts the immune system with a targeted drug that shuts down the cancer's growth signal, or you combine new treatments with chemotherapy or radiation to make them more effective. So the idea is that by working together, these treatments can target the cancer from different angles, making it harder for the cancer to escape or become resistant, or for there to be relapse. So looking to the future, researchers are trying to figure out the best combinations for different cancers, or how to match them to the right patients. And the goal is to make these treatments work for more people across more cancer types and give patients the best possible chance at living longer, healthier lives, all while remaining equitable and accessible to broader populations. But I mean, if we're talking about cutting edge cancer treatment, so I mean, we know typically the surgical resection is the chemotherapy, radiation. I just want to touch a bit on the latest treatment breakthroughs in terms of the progress that we're seeing in a few key areas. And one of these is actually immunotherapy. So immunotherapy is one of the most exciting revolutions in cancer treatment. And this is the umbrella term that broadly refers to any cancer treatment that uses or enhances the body's own immune system to fight cancer. So the idea is quite simple, but very powerful. So instead of relying only on drugs or radiation, we train the body's own immune system, its natural defense force, to recognize and destroy cancer. So our immune systems have been created in such a way that it's so incredibly complex, precise, and intricate. And using this existing amazing system, we can destroy cancer. And this is becoming, the way of the future. But before I go into the details of this, I'm sure you're wondering, why do our immune systems not do this already? Like,
I was going
how
to
does
say,
cancer still develop?
yes.
Okay, so why cancer still develops and progresses in the first place. So one of the key hallmarks of cancer is that it's able to evade the immune system. So what we mean by this is that it's able to mask itself so it goes by undetected by the immune system, and therefore it's not targeted. So ways in which we can counteract this is using immunotherapy. And like I said, that's the umbrella term, and a few approaches fall under this. So one of those is cancer vaccines, which have been developed to prime the immune system against cancer-causing viruses. One of these being the HPV vaccine, which protects against the human papillomavirus. So this is known to cause cervical cancer. And then there's immune checkpoint inhibitors. So our immune system has a natural brake system called checkpoints. So that stops our immune system from overreacting and attacking healthy cells. Same, sort of in the way that autoimmune diseases are. So cancer is quite clever. It can hijack these brakes and hide from the immune system. So what we figured out through research is that we're able to unmask these cancer cells and release the brakes, allowing the immune system to do what it does best. So they block the proteins that cancer uses to stay invisible, allowing your immune system to now see these cancer cells and then attack it. Another huge area of research is in CAR T cells. So CAR T cell therapy is a more personalized approach. So doctors will take patients' immune T cells, reprogram them in the lab, and then these are then these re-engineered cells are then put back into the patient. They re-infused into the patient, and the result is that you have a therapy that's highly effective, even in patients who have run out of options. So going back to what you were saying in terms of surgery and the typical therapeutics, we can use a combination of immunotherapy, the small molecule inhibitors that I spoke about, as well as the chemotherapy and radiation.
There's a question on X which has come through from Lindiwe, who says, please can you ask your guest to clarify the opinion from others about mammograms not being safe because of the radiation and the pressure applied on the breast from the plate that presses the breast onto the platform to get an image?
So I'm not going to comment on the technology itself, but I will speak about early detection and early screening, because like I said, this is key, and we are moving towards better detection and earlier detection. I think it would be key. And what we actually seen in South Africa is a huge number of breast cancer cases, and as well as triple negative breast cancers, which are quite aggressive. And these are occurring in young South African women, and it's highly aggressive. So you actually don't get a lot of time to treat it. So in terms of mammograms, I would still be very pro screening. I think we are working on better screening methods, but definitely pro screening.
In terms of a final word from your side that all of us as South Africans should be aware of when it comes to cutting edge treatment, but also I would say the cutting edge treatment that is coming directly from South Africa.
So, I mean, South Africa is making important contributions in cancer research. I was talking about this recently. Researchers have identified 2 new breast cancer associated genes in Black South African women, genes that hadn't been linked to cancer risk before. So that's a major discovery, because it highlights that cancer biology in African populations can look very different to what's seen in European and North American populations. And the work that I'm currently doing is looking at this aggressive colorectal cancer that's being seen in young Black South Africans. So typically your colorectal cancer occurs in older individuals, but we're now seeing the sharp rise in incidence in younger people under the age of 50. So we need to understand the underlying molecular drivers of the cancers we're seeing in our African populations and develop effective therapeutics for these. So We also have strong clinical trial sites that are part of global studies. South African hospitals have participated in international studies testing immune checkpoint inhibitors. And then because South Africa is one of the world's largest HIV populations, it also has been central in Kaposi sarcoma research. Another interesting area that I just want to mention in research is they are exploring indigenous plants as potential cancer treatments. So we're talking about natural products or phytochemicals. And researchers have studied Tulbachia violacea. So that's a local medicinal plant, also known as, I think, society garlic and pink agapanthus. And they've studied its cytotoxic effects against triple negative breast cancer. And this was recently published in the journal Nature. And this type of research could provide locally relevant solutions. So it's not just about adopting discoveries from elsewhere. It's about generating knowledge here that benefits our population. And just on this, I'd like to just quickly touch on access and affordability.
So we need to go to the news, Doctor. But what I'm going to do, because we are chatting cutting edge treatments throughout the month in the series, I think it is going to be really important to also highlight the work, like I said, that South African researchers are doing in this field. But we're going to have to leave it there until we can connect next time. Thank you so much, Doctor, for your time. It's just after 2:30. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. A very good afternoon. A closed meeting is being held by MPs who are leading Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating allegations of police corruption. The inquiry faced some delays today over the statement and oath of KwaZulu-Natal top cop Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Members of the committee have also called for the removal of the evidence leader, Advocate Norman Arendse. Former President Kgalema Motlanthe has come out in strong defense of broad-based black economic empowerment, saying criticism of the legislation is deeply flawed. Motlanthe has been speaking at the Frank Dialogue event on the future of Triple BEE. Triple BEE was officially made law in 2003 as a policy aimed at addressing the economic and racial inequality caused by apartheid. And City Power insists the recent search and seizure operation carried out by the Hawks at its headquarters was unlawful. The utility approached the High Court in Johannesburg today seeking an order declaring the operations invalid. The Hawks raided City Power offices last week as part of an ongoing investigation into suspected irregular contracts. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 3 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage in the Calvin Alexandra area, there's slow-moving traffic. This is due to roadworks on the N3 in both directions between London Road and the Batu interchange. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in Midrand, Olifantsfontein Road, and the N1. Traffic lights still not working. That's in Rand Park Ridge at ASOD and the N1. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
Today marks the second anniversary of the Gaza war as Hamas and Israeli negotiators hold indirect talks to end the 2-year war in Gaza under a U.S. proposed peace plan. 2 years ago, exactly on this day, at the close of a Jewish festival, Hamas-led militants launched a surprise attack on Israel, making it the deadliest day in the country's history. Israel retaliated with a massive military campaign in Gaza and has since killed more than 67,000 Palestinians.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Mzansi, have you bought your Powerball ticket for the mind-blowing 120 million rand estimated jackpot this Tuesday? Don't delay. Play Powerball for an estimated 120 million rand jackpot today for your chance at winning the big millions. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
You are not dreaming. You are repeating. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
My guy, tell me how date night was.
Bro, I'm telling you, my arrival was too clean. That sporty exterior, the 1.5 turbo engine, just turns heads.
But what about date night?
Yeah, it was chilled. But the Jolly on Pro, it's on another level, bro.
Sometimes the drive is the best part. The Haval Jolion Pro from only $4,299 per month. Visit gwm.co.za for T's and C's. GWM. Go with more. Brought to you by GWM Finance, a division of West Bank, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Big dreams, small budget? No problem. With Prime Media Credit, your business can be on 947, 702, KFM 94.5 and Cape Talk today and pay later. Flexible finance, maximum impact. Email advertise@primemedia.co.za. Prime Media Credit, powered by Bridgement.
Coming up on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
702 Drive is coming up from 3 to 6 p.m. with John Perlman. Happy Tuesday, John. How are you doing?
Doing well, thanks. Happy Tuesday to you, Relebogile, and good afternoon to all our listeners.
What's coming up on your show today?
So, the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee that was set up to look into the allegations made by General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi got off to a very rocky start today. Arguably, it didn't get off to a start at all because there was a big dispute about the nature of the affidavit that was put before the committee. Were there genuine reasons for outrage or was the outrage manufactured? We don't know. For certain, different people will have different views. I have my own. But what we do know is that 4.5 hours, because I'm giving them an hour for lunch and half an hour for tea, of taxpayer-funded committee time was not used for the business of hearing what the General had to say. So they are supposed to start again at 3 o'clock. We will hear how it went after 5 when we chat to our colleague Babalo Ndenze. We are going to be talking to the Predator Society. The Predator Society is involved in people whose business in some way involves lions, leopards, particularly those two animals. Hunting is one aspect of it.
I'm so glad you explained so quickly because I was like, so predators are getting together and having a club?
Oh, right.
Because the name predator usually in the news will be around,
sexual abuses.
Yes.
No. So they've been told that they cannot export lion bones. We heard from the people, from somebody who believes that's a good thing. They obviously think it's a bad thing, and we wanted to make sure they had a right of reply. Inquiry in Parliament into the Road Accident Fund. Lindsay Dentlinger will update us on that. And then it's 2 years since the Hamas October 7 attack on Israel. We're going to talk to somebody called Maoz Inon, who lost family members on that day, but has responded to that loss by becoming a very committed and active peace activist. We spoke to his Palestinian counterpart a little while ago, someone called Aziz Abu Sarah, and we're going to speak to Maoz on this important anniversary for him and, of course, for everybody else who's following this particular conflict. And he'll be with us at 10 minutes past 4. I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you so much. 702 Drive coming up with John Perlman from 3 to 6 p.m.
702.
The car feature.
Car feature time. Nicolo is here and in the building. Well, technically in the building, excuse the pun. And we're going to be chatting an issue that he's brought to us, but we're going to open up the lines to all of you for all of your technical car issues. So get them in quickly. Share with us what challenges you are facing with your car. Might save you a visit to a mechanic and save you some money. 011 8830702 in the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Nicole, how are you doing?
Hi, Relebogile. All good in yourself?
I am doing well, thank you. And I'm so curious about what we're going to be chatting about today, the dealership business model.
Yes, I think if you're an owner of a dealership doing normal services on internal combustion engines, this topic might be a bit of a shock, but rather sooner than later. What we're going to discuss is how the dealership service model will change with the influx of electric vehicles. So just to put it into perspective, so I went on a Volvo EX30 launch a couple of months ago, which is an electric vehicle. And an interesting question came up, so what is the service interval for this car? So the service interval is 30,000 kilometers, which is quite a bit. And then only every 2 years is need to go to the dealerships. So we'll just talk a bit about the technical points, because there's obviously massive differences between internal combustion engine vehicles and electric vehicles when it comes to servicing. So if we look at a traditional service model, we all know the OEMs, the dealerships, they make money from selling new cars, that's true, but they also make a lot of money aftermarket by servicing vehicles. And if we look at the traditional servicing of an internal combustion engine vehicle, let's take a petrol car, for example. So the service interval would be something like between 10,000 and 20,000 kilometers, or once a year. And if you look at what actually gets done during, let's talk about a minor service, that might be oil filter, air filter, petrol filter, spark plugs, cabin pollen filter, those kind of things. And then if you look at a major service, that might be brake pads, brake discs, the brake fluid change, engine coolant change, changing of gearbox oil, maybe even a cam belt change, is an expensive one. So if you look at a large dealership at the moment, they can easily service 25 cars a day, and let's round the numbers and say it's a 4,000 service on average each. That's like 100,000 Rand a day gross income on servicing of vehicles. Okay, so that's a nice income stream for a dealership. Now we look at electric vehicles. They only get serviced every 30,000 kilometers. They only need service every second year. And what do they change? What is involved with servicing? So that is where the penny drops, or no money drops actually, because what do you change? Cabin pollen filters, you maybe do a diagnostic on the battery, you might look at wiper blades. The problem is, even with brake pads and brake discs, they're using regen braking a lot of the time to recharge the battery, which uses electric motors. So there's not the same wear even on your brake pads on internal combustion engines. So they're talking about changing brake pads, something like 60,000 kilometers only. So you can see where I'm heading with this. The income stream is gone when it comes to electric vehicles and the servicing thereof. So great for the consumer, not so great for the dealership. So I've also attended a dealer conference that actually brought up this point where the service income will just disappear with electric vehicles, and dealerships will need to adapt or they will need to close. There's no alternative. So what dealerships can do to adapt with this new service model is they need to find different ways of bolstering the income. So what can they now do to do that? So
can I ask a question there, Nicol? I'm curious as to what percentage of whatever their income is as dealerships actually relies on that part of the business. Because we know selling cars is the one part, but if we get to that stage where it's all now EVs, and that part of the business phases out, is it like a 50% income loss? And I know we're just speaking very vague guesstimates at this stage.
Yeah, it's very broadly, but I would guess that 50% is not far out, comparing selling new cars versus service income. So that's a major problem if one half drops away. So now they're trying to do, like, for example, chip and paint repair on vehicles at the dealerships. They will fit a new windscreen for you. They're looking at replacing your tires at the dealership when you take a car for service to get that income. And they also want to sell you a lot of aftermarket accessories for your vehicles, which might include rooftop tents and bull bars and all sorts of things to bolster the income at the dealership. Even, for example, car detailing, polishing. But still, to try to recoup all the money that will be lost with all the service items on internal combustion engines, that's a massive thing. So looking forward, looking ahead, I think the dealership model will have to change completely. If we move on, I mean, we're talking about quite a number of years, especially in South Africa. I mean, we don't see that all electric vehicles will just overtake the internal combustion sales soon. So it's in the future. But I think what will happen is your dealership model, the dealerships will have to shrink a lot. The floor areas will need to shrink. We might get to a stage where if it's all electric vehicles, they might just send a little van out to your house to come and service it there, because what are they doing? They plug in a diagnostic tool, they're checking this, they're checking that. They might not need a dealership for servicing. We might even see dealerships moving to shopping malls, for example, where the dealership might be there with one vehicle on display, maybe augmented reality showing your vehicle that you can spec there, and maybe it gets delivered to your house. So, yeah, I think the dealership model, we're looking at dramatic changes going forward. And I think the reason, obviously, is that electric vehicles are much less complex than internal combustion engine vehicles. What we can hope is that the engineers won't start to engineer some of these special service parts into an all-electric vehicle so they can keep continuing the service aftermarket service income by replacing various components which maybe they are engineered into the vehicle rather than a necessary replacement. So, yeah, I think we're in for a bumpy ride. If you own a service center or a dealership, when it comes to all-electric vehicles, yeah, it's a bit of an unclear feature.
And I'm glad that we're talking about it now, because we know you don't wait until the market is saturated with electric vehicles and you see the sales and money coming in declining before you do anything about it. What do you think that's going to mean, Nicol, just in terms of the training of the staff? Is it quite a simple thing for the same guy who was doing services and that kind of work on a vehicle switching to electric vehicle?
Yeah, from a technical point of view, I think to move a technician on from a internal combustion engine to electric vehicle is actually quite simple, because it's more simplistic. And I know these days all the technicians are IT trained. It's all done through the computer. The computer is plugged in. It tells them exactly what they need to replace. But understanding all the ins and outs of a internal combustion engine vehicle, I think is much more complex than EV. I think more realistically what will happen is we will move on to a phase of hybrid vehicles which will have the electric system combined with internal combustion engine. At least that will allow the dealerships to continue servicing the vehicles in a steady state of income. The technicians will need to start learning everything surrounding electric powertrains, battery packs, the onboard chargers, single-speed gearboxes which they might have. Your battery packs I mentioned before, inverters, all those kind of electric systems. That will be new, but I don't think it will be too difficult to make the transition. I think to make the transition from 100,000 rand gross a day to almost nothing, that is the transition that is worrying.
Okay, that's definitely something we'll be looking out for, and you will let us know and update us, Nicol, as things start to change and evolve. And I think you are right that we're not going to need these massive floors to see, different cars and different colors. It's all going to adjust to get the operating expenses to go down and for these businesses to be able to survive. But now we open up the lines to all of you for your technical car issues. 011 883 0702 in the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702.
The car feature.
And we continue with the car feature, 11 minutes to 3 o'clock. We're with Nicolo, and the lines are open to you for all of your technical car questions. So, Nicol, we've got one that says, I have an automatic car. When I put it in day mode, it drives, but in night mode, it goes nowhere. I wish I had more information for you, Nicol, beyond I have an automatic car.
I think they should try the R mode for racing.
So what could be the issue that night mode, the car doesn't move?
No, I think it's a joke. N is for neutral, obviously, and D is for drive, and R is for reverse. So it's an internal joke, I think.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Oh, another one says, 702, I'm having issues with my catalytic converter of my Mercedes-Benz. Is there a cheaper way to resolve the issue other than replacing it from BN Blegauri?
Yeah, so a catalyst in the exhaust is obviously to reduce emissions. We talk about NOx emissions that's being reduced because there's a chemical process that happens in the catalytic converter, and there's obviously precious metals like platinum, for example, that is used inside the catalytic converter on a brick that does all the work. But so it's a very, very expensive component. So you've got sensors pre and post the catalyst to see if it's still doing its job, and if it's not doing its job, it will put on a light on the instrument cluster. It might even put the vehicle in limbo mode. We will give you a bit of issues there. So you take it to the dealership, they plug it in and say, okay, no, the catalytic converter needs replacing, and that's very expensive. So if you want to do the right thing for the environment, it's probably the right thing to change over to a new catalytic converter. But there is an option where you can take the catalytic converter out of the equation, basically fit a straight through pipe, but then you have to bypass the diagnostics that's picking up that it's not there anymore. So there's some companies that will do it. As I say, unfortunately, those components can be in excess of 50,000-60,000 rands to replace. So a lot of people will rather revert to the method of just eliminating the catalyst altogether. So there's some aftermarket places that will do it for you. Obviously, it all depends, year, model of the car, mileage, all those kind of things, but it can be done. It is theoretically possible. Unfortunately, you won't get the benefit of the clean exhaust gas coming out if you remove the catalyst, but that's something that you need to decide for yourself.
Okay, the next one says, I drive a 2010 Hyundai i20. My steering wheel sometimes shakes when I'm going over 100 kilometers per hour. What might be causing this?
Okay, so vibration through the steering wheel when just normally driving, so you're not applying the brakes, that all points towards either the wheel balance is out, the tire balance, so that's an easy one to check, like for wheel alignment and balancing, especially then on the front wheels, because if it's the rear wheels, you'll more feel it through the seat and through the steering wheel. And normally when it's the tires out of balance, there is sort of a speed where the resonance happens and it sort of just amplifies the movement of the steering wheel. But I've also seen in some of the front wheel drive cars when your CV shaft is actually the drive shaft that runs from the transmission to the wheel itself. If that CV shaft is on the way out, that can also sometimes cause an imbalance. So I would first do the wheel alignment and tire balancing, and then after that, focus on the drive shafts.
Okay, we've got a voice note on 072-702-1702.
Hi guys, thanks for an interesting show. I just want to find out overall which type of car is more polluting, a internal combustion car, specifically petrol, or a electric car. Thank you. Bye.
Nickel?
How much time have we got?
You've got about 2 minutes to explain this one.
Okay. So let's try to do it quickly. So with electric vehicles, there's obviously no local emissions. It all depends then where does electricity come from. If it's from a coal-powered fire station, then obviously the pollution happens there. With internal combustion engine, you will always have the pollutants out the exhaust pipe. So that is the main differences between running an electric vehicle and internal combustion engine from a polluting point of view. So there's been studies done all over. The thing is just, you have to look at, they call it cradle to grave. So if you go really deep into the calculations, how much energy is used to create the vehicle in the first place, run the vehicle for its lifetime, and then recycle the vehicle in the end, taking into account all the energies involved, then the story is a bit different, and it's not so clear-cut electric vehicle. That is the main concern which is currently happening in the world as well. So I think politicians and so on have jumped a lot on EVs, and EVs can be very clean if the power source is clean. So if we use like sun power. We use all the solar array, and you charge the batteries up with that, and then you drive your electric vehicle. That's all fine. You still then sit with the lithium-ion battery that is very sort of bad for environment to create in the first place and to recycle in the end. So my gut feel is the electric vehicle will win, but it's not so clear-cut as you might think if you do the whole cradle-to-grave calculation.
All right. Thank you so much for that question. We have another voice note.
Hi, Relebogile. This is Mrs. from Dobsonville. I drive a Hyundai i20 2017 model. I can't use the Bluetooth function as the volume is just too low. And I know it's not supposed to be like that because I worked at a dealership before, specifically Hyundai. So I just wanted to know, is there a way where I can get that fixed, or what would be the reason behind that? Because I'd have to put my volume up to 40 or so, but still, like, it's hard to hear the person on the speaker.
Nicole?
Okay, so I don't know if the vehicle is still under warranty or not. The 2-year model, I didn't. So if it's still under warranty, I will definitely take it back to Hyundai and see if they can find an issue. But if it's out of warranty, then maybe an auto electrician can just have a look at that. I've also driven in a few cars where even if you go full volume, it's still not almost loud enough with all the road noise. So some of these systems are a bit old school and they don't work that well. But hopefully there's even these aftermarket radio guys, they should also be able to know maybe there's a setting that you need to go in to amplify it a bit more. But I can't really unfortunately say from here.
Nicolo, thank you so much for chatting to us, and we'll be back together again.
Thank you.
702. Serving the 702 family in 702 land, including those of you in Kempton Park. Kempton Park was established in 1903 when Carl Friedrich Wolff subdivided a portion of his Zierfontein farm into residential stands and named it after the German town of his birth. Apart from suburbs, Kempton Park is also the home of many chemical and manufacturing industries, the Calvin Power Station, and OR Tambo International, Africa's busiest airport. 702. Let's walk the talk across 702 land, including Kempton Park.
Is it your season to refresh your ride? Find it at We Buy Cars. Whether you're looking for something nearly new with under 1,000 kilometers or a timeless classic, they also offer finance, insurance, warranties, and more. Selling your car? Complete their form on webuycars.co.za or visit any We Buy Cars location nationwide. Whether you're buying or selling, We Buy Cars has what you need and more.
Did you know that all residential complexes are legally required to register with the Community Scheme Ombud Service, or CSOS? Registration is easy and it's free. All registered schemes can access a quick and affordable alternative dispute resolution body and can also learn more about the rights and responsibilities of people living within a community scheme. We'd like to appeal to all unregistered community schemes to register with the CSOS today. Visit csos.org.za to find out more.
Year in, year out, we're fixing tires faster than a Formula One pit crew. My team is on top of things like tire whisperers. If an unforeseen accident were to happen in my workshop, at least I've got My Way business insurance to keep the wheels turning.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Relebogile is on X at Relebogile M.
Thank you so much for joining us today on 702 Afternoons. To the person who sent a voice note around the Bluetooth volume control, Simon sent a WhatsApp that says, Relebogile, the Bluetooth volume control may be controlled from a device that your car is connected to. The caller needs to adjust their device volume in order to improve the car volume. That is Simon. I would have assumed that they might have tried that already, but if not, go and give that one a shot. But I have been in vehicles where the volume is just absolutely at a minimum, and then you opt to not do the Bluetooth route. But thank you all for joining us. PrimeMediaPlus.com. Download the app to catch up on conversations. It's 3:00.
This is EWN.
Parliament's Police Ad Hoc Committee to resume its work this afternoon, and Motlanthe comes out in defense of triple BEE. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating allegations of police corruption is expected to resume its work at this hour. Proceedings had to be temporarily adjourned today to address issues related to the statement of KZN top cop Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi as well as his oath. This after EFF leader Julius Malema raised questions over why Mkhwanazi submitted the same statement he used during his appearance at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry 2 weeks ago. Members of the committee also called for the removal of evidence leader Advocate Norman Arendse. The MPs say Arendse made an error when he failed to submit an original statement from Mkhwanazi before he takes an oath. Babalondenze reports.
The ad hoc committee inquiry into corruption within the criminal justice system hit a snag after EFF leader Julius Malema questioned the lack of an original statement by Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Malema says the statement provided by the evidence leader should be an original and not a supplementary statement with inclusions from the Madlanga Commission, where Mkhwanazi has already appeared. Malema went as far as calling for the evidence leader Norman Arendse to be replaced.
I really have no confidence in him from what he did now. We must change him.
I have
argue with us and argue with you in front of cameras, and you allow that.
MK Party MP Sibonelo Nomvalo also voiced his unhappiness over the lack of an original statement.
Let me start by sharing my deepest discontent as well, that we are starting on a very bad note. From the word go, we are messing things up.
The committee is expected to get a sworn statement from Mkhwanazi this afternoon once he takes an oath. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Former President Kgalema Motlanthe has come out in strong defense of broad-based black economic empowerment, saying criticism of the legislation is deeply flawed. Motlanthe has been speaking at the Frank Dialogue event on the future of triple BEE. Triple BEE was officially made law in 2003 as a policy aimed at addressing the economic and racial inequality caused by apartheid. Thabiso Koba has more.
It's been more than 2 decades since BEE was first introduced as a policy. Now referred to as triple BEE, it faces both domestic and international pressure to be dropped. It's been criticized as an impediment to doing business in the country, undermining meritocracy and only benefiting the politically connected. However, former State President Kgalema Motlanthe says these arguments do not hold up when there's a lot of research showing the growth of the black middle class since the turn of democracy.
Imperfect as this may be, it would not have happened without deliberate access to education, affirmative hiring, and enterprise development.
Motlanthe echoed the sentiments of the Triple BE Commissioner that the policy must continue to be improved rather than scrapped. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
City Power insists the recent search and seizure operation carried out by the Hawks at its headquarters was unlawful. The utility approached the High Court in Johannesburg today, seeking an order declaring the operations invalid. The Hawks raided City Power's offices last week as part of an ongoing investigation into suspected irregular contracts. But City Power argues that the search warrants used to access its premises were vague and therefore invalid. Spokesperson Isaac Mangina says he's confident the utility will win the case.
Normal warrants that are normally issued, they are specific as to what they want to look